Hey y'all, recently I had a live here on YouTube and I was teaching how to make sawmill gravy, which is actually called white gravy or pepper gravy, and it is the very famous white gravy that Cracker Barrel restaurant serves. This is a copycat recipe for that gravy. But in this video, I just want to pull out the recipe portion of that the cooking portion of that video for you who might just want to know the recipe of how to make the sawmill gravy and not be necessarily interested in the kitchen chat that I had. But if you are interested, I will link that above and also down below this video. Enjoy the gravy, y'all, and thanks for being here. I'm Miss Katie, and this is Heritage Ways. This is very similar to Cracker Barrel's gravy. Cracker Barrel, I don't think, has much meat at all, if any. Okay, I don't think it has much meat at all, if any. So it's not a meaty, you know, like a main dish. So anyway, I've got my Lodge cast iron. I have two patties. Now, when I do see these marked down, I get these things and not to cook for my family, but to use for this. It's just easy, pre-portioned. Put those two in there, and then that's 3 more recipes for gravy. Then you're going to need a ½ cup of sausage or bacon grease. Okay, now what's different from when I make my other sausages, I leave that, well, I'll let you go watch that video. I start with a cold pan and raw sausage and flour and butter, cold pan. This was a hot pan. Just make sure it's cooked because I am just going to add it back in here in a minute. It did not make much grease, and I'm wanting about a ½ cup of sausage and or bacon grease. I like the combination for this gravy. This might seem like a lot of grease to you, and just remember, and I only save good grease, you know, like good quality bacon grease. I don't save grease from animals that are, you know, so this would be grass-fed or organic is what I save. Then I'm going to put a ½ cup of flour. I'm going to use my whisk. This doesn't take but a minute, you know, to make. Now, I've got this about on medium heat. Just want this grease to melt. If the pan had grease left over from that sausage, then, you know, that's great, but this didn't. Okay, now, the deal is equal amounts grease and flour. That's true if you're making any kind of, you know, white sauce, or, which is basically what you're doing. You're making a white sauce here, which I like. Again, I feel like is different from how I make my classic Southern sausage gravy. The reason I don't call this sausage gravy is because that's all the sausage that's in it. So, all right, so I eyeballed it, but that's about ½ cup of grease, ½ cup of flour. So see, this is getting brown. That's what you want. You don't want the flour to burn, but you don't want it to be flour toasted. So you kind of want it to brown. And then I'm going to actually start adding the milk and the salt and pepper, and I'll taste it for you and see how that turned out. Calls for 4 cups of milk, which is pretty much what I have here. But, you know, you just add it until it's the consistency you want. Okay, and this is, I'm going to turn it like a little bit below medium, but I've got gas heat, which I love, by the way. Y'all have gas stove? So see how simple this is? Now, here's the thing, and I've tried to tell people when I teach them how to cook, you know, you can add more milk if it's too thick, but you can't add more flour because you're just going to have a big old mess if you do. You're going to have big clumps. There's nary a clump in here. I do not have clumps in my gravy. And I'm not bragging. That's a lot of practice and learning. So it is possible. Okay, and some people like their gravy thicker, thinner. Oh, there's the cat. Thicker, thinner. Add those 2 pieces back in there. I use Redmond's real salt. You want about a teaspoon. Don't want too much. You can add more later or at the table. Thin it a little more, but I want to tell you too, now we're going to have this for supper, and you can see by the way it didn't take 4 full cups. But we're going to have this for supper, and I can reheat this. Gravy is fine reheated. We're missing one vital ingredient. This thing came from a thrift store, and I love this thing. I feel like this is a vital ingredient because you know what? Sometimes you will find, you know, the little packets. Please don't buy the little packets, but you might see them in the store. Envelopes, and it's called pepper gravy. That's this. That's this. The same deal. Maybe maybe you don't make it with sausage, but it's the same deal. The little envelopes are going to have your flour and your salt and your pepper and maybe like I don't even know. I've never used an envelope. Powdered grease. I don't even know what's in it. But really, all you needed, you don't have to buy an envelope. So you can tell, you know, it still coats the spoon. It is probably desirable that it's not ideally thin here because when you, excuse me, when you reheat it, you are going to add a little bit of moisture to help it. Oh, y'all, that's good. I'm fixing a double dip, but don't tell my family. Plus, I don't think they care. Okay. That is so good. I'll tell you why I like this one better.